Hello and welcome back to Tucking It Up. My name is Tuck and I like to play around with makeup. So today I've got a really fun video for you. I'm quite excited to do a demo of the Dark Star 006 V2 kit from Pat McGrath. As you know, I'm a big Pat fan. And so this kit is a kind of refreshed version of one of her first releases, or one of the brand's first releases before, they kind of became the Divine Rose House. Anyway, so this kit is really fun, and the theme today is going to be blue, as you might be able to tell from my Acid Betty pin. So if you'd like to see what kind of look I'm going to put together, actually I might even do two looks. We'll see how it goes. Please stay tuned. Let's start by talking about what comes with the kit. It's a 3-piece kit, and like I said, it's kind of geared for the eyes. And so what you get is first a eyeliner, and this is the Xtreme Black eyeliner in her Permagel formula. I've never tried this, but this was my first item from that line, and it kind of does live up to what everyone says about it, and you'll see that in the demo. And then the second item is a eye gloss, and it's the Cyber Clear eye gloss. The 3 items that came with this kit, this was my least favorite, just because it's not very practical. Like, it looks wonderful on the eyes for the first 10 seconds, and then at least on me, everything gloops up and it just becomes this gross mess. And then the last item is, I would say, the star of the show, and it's the Ultraviolet Blue pressed pigment. So as soon as I saw this pigment, I knew I had to have this kit. This blue pigment, as you can see, it toes the line, I would say, between blue and purple, but it's just, I just love these kinds of shades. With colors like these, it's not even necessarily that, oh, it's the most flattering against your skin tone. It's just, I love this color and I want to kind of use it and just express myself and, live that fantasy. The idea I have in mind is I want to do a kind of dramatic, dark, blown out smoky eye, which I think this kit is really well suited for. So the shape is going to be quite, I think, sharp and cut off at the outer corners, but then it's going to be quite diffuse, right around here, around the eye area. And so to form the base of the smoky eye, I'm going to blend out the pencil, and then I'm going to layer the ultraviolet blue shadow on top of it, and I'm going to pull in a couple of other things just to add a little bit more interest. Okay, so to save some time, I'm actually going to do my base off camera, and I'll see you back in just, well, for you a second, for me more 20 minutes. Okay, I'm back. My base is done. So let's go ahead and do the brows, and for that, let me zoom you in. Alright, now that you're in nice and close, let's go ahead and talk about the brows. I want them to be a bit more structured than I usually do. They're still going to be relative. I'm not going to change the shape of my brows too much. I'm just still going to keep the relatively, basically the straight shape that I have. But I'm going to carve things out just a little bit more. I'm going to start by going against the grain and just fill in quite strongly. And then after that, I'm going to define the lower line of my brow. And as for the tails, again, it's much clearer. I'm also much stronger than usual, and I'm also extending the length just a little bit. And finally, to finish everything off and give it a little bit more dimension, I'm going to go in with an angle brush and some black eyeshadow and just do some hair-like strokes, and again define the lines, that sort of the edges of my brow just a little bit more than I normally would. Right, so let's start on the eyes then, and for that I'm going to start by sketching out sort of the initial shape. Just want to lay out some boundaries so I don't go overboard like I actually do quite often. And so to act as a transition shade, to act as the sketch, I'm going to use the shade Sculpting Light and Sculpting Medium from the Kevyn Aucoin Contour Book palette. I'm going to take a fluffy crease brush, and I'm just going to start by concentrating the color on the outer corner. As you can see, I'm going a little bit high. The end look is supposed to be quite blown out. And then I'm going to blend the color inwards towards the nose, and then take it down the bridge just a little bit. And then I'm going to deepen the shade by going in with more of the Sculpting Light and Sculpting Medium and just, build it up a little bit so I can see it. When we blend everything together, it'll look just a little bit more seamless. To start off the eye base, I'm going to go in with a eye primer. This might not be necessary for you, but my eyelids are so oily that even like long wearing pencils, like the Permagel one that I'm going to use, even if they can last through basically a nuclear holocaust, my eyelids somehow still find a way to break them down. So for eye primer today, I'm going to use the e.l.f. eyeshadow primer. The other reason you want to use a primer for this look is that the ultraviolet blue, I should say, can't stain the skin apparently. Don't forget to apply primer to the very outer corners as well. Now that the eye primer is ready, I am going to start with the Permagel and start doing the black smoky base. So I'm going to start by drawing just a line in the outer corner, sort of angled upwards. And because this is a pencil that sets down really pretty quickly, you want to do one eye at a time, and preferably as small sections as you can get away with. So after putting down a pretty thick line, I then just blend. Repeat on the other side. Try to get it as even as possible. As any of you who've seen maybe some of my previous videos know, sometimes this can be a challenge because my left and my right eye are slightly different shapes from each other. If it's not perfect, that's okay because we can clean up later on with the shadow and concealer and some Q-tips. That's the general shape then. It's not, completely even on both sides. You can see it's a little bit messy, but we're gonna clean that up like I mentioned. So, no worries for now. So next step is I'm going to take some black shadow to set this. I'm going to use Xtreme Black from the Mothership 3 Subversive palette today, but you could use any black shadow that you have handy. Mainly using a pencil brush, I'm going to kind of pack the shade in the outer corner, and it's going to kind of go at a little bit of an angle that echoes, the angle of the wing in the outer corner. And I'm going to kind of blend everything inwards and also upwards. And just to refine the shape, I'm also going to just take this sharp tip Q-tip, really nice actually, I really love it, and just kind of clean up the edges. Just for a little bit more added precision, I'm going to take a liner brush with some black shadow, just make sure everything is nice and sharp. Now that the eye base is done, we get to play with the star of the show for me, which is the Ultraviolet Blue pigment. Using a packer brush, I'm going to just tap the shadow onto my lid. I'm going to start in the center of the lid and then kind of blend towards the outer corners. And I'm going to try and follow that sort of, with the black, you're right, I had laid it down at a bit of an angle. And so to blend this blue and the black together, I'm going to just pat the brush over where they meet, kind of at that same angle. And then I'm going to bring up the blue also quite high, so you can kind of see it, right, even when my eyes are open. And the shape is going to be, I don't want too much of a swoop sort of at the outer corner, so it's kind of more of a, just like a continuous curve from the tip of the black into the inner corner of the eye. And then finally, I'm just going to take sculpting, the contour shades on a crease brush and just blend all of the edges together so that there's nothing that's too harsh. Freeze frame! Hey, this is Tuck from the future. For some reason, my camera stopped recording audio, so no more talking bits for a little bit, just voiceover for now. So for the next step, we're going to finish off the eyes. I'm going to take Astral Ghost Orchid, place that on the inner corner as a highlight using a pencil brush and then my pinky. And then I'm going to pat it gently with a small crease brush along the edges of Ultraviolet Blue. So Astral Ghost Orchid is this sort of shifty pink-violet topper shade from Subversive Mothership 3. And then for the lower lash line, to finish it off, I'm just going to take a bit of Sculpting Light, Sculpting Medium, just on the very outer corners. And then to tightline, I'm going to take that Permagel black pencil, go over my upper waterline, and then also fill in any blank spots along my upper lash line just to make sure you don't see any like pink colors, pink bits. And then for the lower waterline, I'm going to use Atria Flash Crayon from Linda Hallberg. It's a beautiful like navy shade, and you can see I really like it. And then to clean up the wing, I'm going to take some concealer and on a flat brush and just make the angles a little bit more even. They never quite got there, but that's okay. And then I'm going to carve up my brows with some concealer on an angle brush. So just draw along the bottom of the brow and then buff in the concealer. And for my lips, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm just going to use Black Up the Jumbo Lip Crayon in number 16. It's this nice deep red, and it will act as both like lipstick and the lip liner, so it's really convenient. So after filling in, I'm just going to blot with a single ply of tissue, and this will help the color last longer and be a little bit more vibrant as well. And so after blotting, I'm then going to add a second layer of Black Up of this number 16 color. And then for highlighter, I'm going to go back in with Astral Ghost Orchid and just hit the usual points: cheekbones, bridge of the nose, chin, that sort of stuff. Okay, so apologies about that, but you know, here's the final look, and let me give you a tour. So this is the first look then. I do like how it turned out. It's not perfect, but you know, nothing I do is perfect, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time like tearing it down because I can very easily, let me tell you, I can very easily do that. Maybe in the future I might do a series where I look at my past things that I've done and just like break down where I think I've gone wrong. That might be a nice sort of review. Yeah, and like a nice way to like learn, right, from things I've done in the past. I do love the way the colors are blending together. I do actually really enjoy the shape, and I love what Astral Ghost Orchid is doing. I think it helps marry everything together. So please stay tuned because the second look is coming right up. So we're going to do the second look for the Dark Star kit. And the look I have, so I've done my base, and the look I have in mind today is inspired by Persona 5. I've been playing Persona 5 Strikers, and the main character, Joker, in his sort of like, his alter ego, right? So when he's like fighting monsters and stuff, all of the characters get different outfits basically, and so his is like this you know, he gets this mask, and the mask has this beautiful outline, I think of his eyes, and so I'm going to do that today. Let's start with some eye primer, and I'm just going to use the e.l.f. eyeshadow primer. I'm going to go straight in with the doe foot applicator and just apply a little bit on my eyelids, paying special attention to my outer and inner corners because they do, you know, that's where I guess the most folds are in my eyelids, and so that's where it tends to get the oiliest. And then I'll just buff it all out with a blending brush. This one is the E25 from Sigma. Alright, so let's break down this look a little bit. It's kind of thick, you know, that black outline. I don't want to go that thick on my eyes, and also I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to get rid of sort of the eyelashes on the top. I'm going to keep some of them on the bottom, and then the outer corner here is going to be more of a swoop as opposed to like a smooth, like sort of continuous curve. To start off the eye look and to make sure I get everything kind of correctly proportioned and like somewhat even, you know, as even as I can get it, I'm going to start by sketching out the shape. That I want the shape to be visible, right, when I'm facing straight forward like this. So when so I'm going to, you know, look straight forward and then sketch out the shape. Using a liner brush with a black shadow, I start by kind of just dotting where the key points of the shape are. So that's kind of in the socket, right, that middle of the eye and the upper part of my eye. And then the outer corners, right, I want to make sure the wings have somewhat symmetrical. That can be a little tricky to get perfectly even on me because my two eyes are not even. And then just going along the bottom lash line, also add the lashes. So when you're doing this, you know, it's okay to mess up a little bit. As you can see, I do quite a bit, right? But I think, you know, you do want to get the shape pretty close to the final one. It's really, I think, quite important to establish the shape well now, even though it's just a sketch, so that when we fill in these lines, everything comes out, quite nicely, and you don't have to do as many adjustments. I'm going to fill in with the Permagel, the pencil from the kit. Make sure it's quite sharp because you do want accuracy in this case. So if I was not like trying to shoehorn this kit into this look, this would be so much easier if you were using cream or liquid products, right? Because then you could get really, really precise. At this point, you do want to be somewhat precise. You don't have to be overly precise. It's tough for me, actually, particularly where I have a lot of a looser skin, right? So at the outer corner, and then just like right underneath my eye where I'm doing those lashes. But try to get it as neat as possible and as crisp as possible. Definitely need to clean up with like some Q-tips, concealer. I am going to avoid the very outer corners of my eyes. I want to blend the pencil inwards a little bit towards the center of the eye. The lid, I'm going to do a bit of a halo effect, so that's why I'm trying to keep it relatively clean of the pencil. I think as a starting point, this is fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue refining this and just like making sure there are no, everything is even and stuff like that. And I'll do that off camera. All right, so now the fill is much more even. It's not quite perfect, but that's actually okay because I'm going to put the ultraviolet blue pigment, on top of the where I put the pencil. So it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. 90, 85% is okay, which I think is kind of where I'm at. I'm going to do that kind of inner and outer corner of my eye, like I mentioned. Starting on the right eye, I'm going to fill in a little bit in the outer corner with the pencil, and then go in and fill in the inner corner a little bit as well. And then I'm going to take a smudging brush. This one is the Refer number 12, and I'm just going to blend it in towards the center of the lid. But I do want to leave a blank spot again so I can do that halo / spotlight effect. And then once I'm done blending in the inner and outer corners, I'm going to apply a little bit of the pencil along sort of the socket line, and then just again using the brush, just blend it in. And so once I put on once I fill in the lid later on, you'll have a nice like gradient effect and more of a depth, and it'll blend in nicely to the rest of the shape. Now let me go ahead and do the same to the other eye. Alright, so I'm back. As you can see, I did the same thing to my left eye, and at the same time I also tight lined my lower lash line. We're going to leave the top waterline until later. Let's start pressing that ultraviolet blue pigment over where we put the pencil now. Load up the brush with the eyeshadow and just pat over where the pencil is, and go slow, and you don't want too much fallout. For the really like finer details, go in with the brush that makes the most sense, right? So like to get really sharper corners and like really sharp lines, I'm going to use an angled liner brush. Actually, this one is from Sephora. I really like it because the bristles are really stiff, and so they're a little bit uncomfortable when they go on your skin, but if you want a super precise line, this is the way to go. Using a small packer brush, I'm just going to pat the ultraviolet blue on the inner and outer corners, and then along the sort of the socket line or the crease for me. And you want to just gently pat, and this is also going to not just apply the product, but also help blend out the edges a little bit. So now we're ready to fill in the lid, and to do that, as I mentioned, I'm going to use a periwinkle shade, just to kind of play on the purple a little bit more. And I'm going to use, what is this called? This is called Blitz Violet Orchid from Mothership 6. Actually, let me clean it off. And so that's just kind of going to go right where the lid is basically empty right now. And that will actually also get a topper shade. So just pack it on, concentrating in the center of the lid, and then just pat at the edges to blend this color into the blue. Okay, so just to finish off the lid, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a topper shade from Mothership 3 Subversive. I'm going to use Astral Ghost Orchid, which is actually what I used in my last look as well, right? And so it's that nice, like, shifty, violet, pink kind of thing. Okay, so now we can start with cleaning up the shape. You know, I'm glad actually I waited until the very end, because once you have like all the shadow and stuff on, it helps actually hide some of the imperfections, so you don't do, so it feels like I don't have to do as much work. But anyway, so I'm going to start by taking a Q-tip, you know, kind of, and this is got like a nice, like pretty sharp point to it. And then, oh, this is dirty, so let's not use that one. But anyway, I'm going to take that, you know, just clean up the edges, and then where I need it, I'm also going to take some concealer and, you know, just sharpen up the edges also. Really sorry, but my camera battery died, so it didn't quite capture, and I didn't notice, of course, so it didn't quite capture the last bits of where I put the concealer. So I did some concealer, as you might be able to tell, you know, underneath primarily, and then right here. And then just a little bit also along the sort of this upper line here, just to clean things up a bit, even though that Q-tip, I think did really well in removing some of that shadow, as well as some pencil that had gone astray. To finish off the look, let's go on to the lips, and the lips are going to be quite intense today. I am going to use a black lipstick actually, and because the eye is so strong, I like balancing it out with a strong lip as well. I like to go all the way. So I'm going to use Alien from NYX, and I'm going to use the black core crayon from Linda Hallberg as a liner. I'm going to start by lining the lips, and I'm actually not going to overdraw today, because I find when I put on really dark colors like this black, my lips look quite big already, and so I don't need to overdraw. And so I'm going to just correct any asymmetries. Those will be really quite obvious once we put on the lipstick. To fill in the lips, I'm going to go straight in with the applicator from Alien. I find NYX liquid lipsticks, their applicators are pretty precise, so you can get away with it. You don't have to use a brush, even for a really dark shade like this. So after applying one layer, I'm just going to blot, and then of course I have to make sure that no lipstick gets on my teeth. And then I just apply a second layer to make sure I fill in any gaps, any blanks, and that I get as much opacity as possible. And you are done. This is the final look then. Let me give you a quick tour as usual. Thank you so much for joining me for both of these looks. I really they're quite different, right, the two of them, but I really like how both of them turned out, especially this one. It's been a while since I kind of did more, I'd say, costumey / cosplay inspired sort of looks, but I really like how this one turned out. Yeah, it's strong, sure, it's a bit intense, but you know, I guess that's just what I like. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the kit and the products in it. So definite hit for me was the Permagel pencil. Went on so smoothly. You know, when you sharpen it, it didn't kind of go to nothing like a lot of pencils kind of do. Very opaque. The only downside I would say is that it sets so quickly that blending can be a little bit of a challenge. So, you know, just try to be fast, or if not, you know, just do a little bit at a time. But yeah, other than that, it actually, you know, I found that this pencil stays on my eyelids. A lot of long-wearing pencils, or other pencils that say they're long-wearing, even with eyeshadow primer, because my lids get so oily, they will break up. This one so far has shown the most staying power. The Ultraviolet Blue, I also really love that shade, of course. I think the performance is really great. It can't, you know, the color's really beautiful. It's got a lot of depth to it as well. And it's, you know, even though it's quite a, I would say, strong, intense color, you know, it's quite easy to work with. You can blend it out pretty well. And then the last thing in the kit, you're right, the Cyber Clear Eye Gloss. As you notice, I did not use it in either of my looks, just because I don't want a glue. You know, after spending a long time to create something, I don't want a gloopy mess on my lids. Not a huge fan of that one. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And considering I got the kit on sale, I think that makes it even better. So yeah, as always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I'm gonna probably pop up a playlist or link to a playlist of other videos with Pat McGrath products that I've used if you're interested. Yeah, and until next time, bye!